The word theater comes from the Greek word theatron, meaning a place for viewing. But where did it come from, and how did it become what it is today? The ancient civilizations of the Greeks and Romans have come up with their own different traditions of what can be called theater. Ancient Greek theater originated in the city-state of Athens around 532 BC. There, plays were carried out to accompany dithyrambs, which are hymns in honor of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and fertility. Acting in ancient Greece was a male-exclusive profession. Male actors could play female characters as they all wore masks, also known in Greek as prosopon. Members of the chorus also wore masks. After about 465 BC, the skene, or backdrop, was used. The area behind the skene served as a place for actors to change costumes. Another scenic element is the mekane, which is a crane that lifts an actor off the ground to make it seem that the actor is flying. In Rome, gods played an essential role in everyday life. They were seen as the source of good and bad. Hence, after a great plague in 364 BC, Romans added plays to lectisternium ceremonies. These ceremonies were carried out to appease gods whom the Romans thought caused certain bad events. This is a recurring theme across different cultures. Theater often has roots in spirituality. It binds the common people together with rituals. Roman theater was highly influenced by Greek theater. By 240 BC, many Greek theatrical works were translated into Latin and was made familiar to Romans. Despite that, Roman theater encompassed more than just drama. Acrobatics and gladiators were also a part of Roman theater. The scenic elements of Roman theater are very similar to their Greek counterpart. Roman actors also acted in front of a backdrop known as scaenae frons in Latin. Unlike in Greece, acting was a male-dominated profession, but women were not barred from participating. Most actors, however, were also slaves, and acting was seen as a poor profession. Despite that, it is obvious that the theater was an important part of ancient Roman culture. By 345 AD, 101 out of 175 festivals in a year were dedicated to theatrical performances. In medieval Europe, theater performers were initially denounced by the church because they were viewed as pagans. The early church fathers were against theater as they considered acting to be sinful. Imitation of life was considered a mockery of God's creation. However, as time passes, the church realized that acting was crucial in explaining Christianity to lay people. Churches began to perform dramatized versions of events in the Bible. Eventually, liturgical drama was developed to explain religion to a largely illiterate population. Most people simply could not read and write in their own language, let alone in Latin. During this time period, Hrotsvita and Hildegard of Bingen, both German nuns, became the first female playwrights of the Middle Ages. Hrotsvita wrote 6 plays, namely the Gallicanus, Dulcitius, Callimachus, Abraham, Paphnutius, and Sapientia. During England's Elizabethan era, theater flourished with the establishment of playhouses and plays from prominent playwrights such as William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe. Theater was one of the main sources of entertainment for people in the time period, and as a result, over 600 plays survive to this very day.
方才聽姑娘所言，真係碎盡人心。但係唔知嗰個薄幸人姓甚名誰，有負你至情至誠呢？佢啊！
Although Chinese theater had its roots in the 3rd century AD, it was only developed into a more sophisticated form during the Tang dynasty in 715 AD by Emperor Xuanzong, who founded the Pear Garden, or Li Yuan. In the Song dynasty, actors only used classical Chinese on stage, which was incomprehensible to lay people. It was only during the 13th century Mongol-ruled Yuan dynasty that actors began to use the vernacular dialect in performances. In the early medieval period, Southeast Asia was under the cultural and linguistic influence of India. Many Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms emerged throughout the region. As a result, Indian literature has made its way into the theater cultures of Southeast Asia.
เราคือทศกัณฐ์อสุรีเจ้าลงกาเรืองฤทธีมีศักดาปราบได้ทั่วไกลจักรชะ
In Thailand, Khon theater originated in the 16th century as a form of entertainment reserved for the royal court. The performances were based on episodes of the Ramakien, which is the Thai adaptation of the Ramayana epic. Acting used to be limited to men, but today women performers play female characters. In Java, the former center of the Majapahit Empire, theater was composed of not just plays involving human actors, known in Javanese as wayang wong, but also shadow puppetry, or wayang kulit in Javanese. Like Thai theater, one of the more popular plays of wayang wong is the Kakawin Romoyono, which is the Javanese adaptation of the Indian epic. Wayang wong also has a variant known as wayang gedog, in which the actors wear masks. Unlike the theater of other cultures, men and women both act without segregation. Neoclassicism emerged as a dominant form of theater in the 18th century. This form of theater is based on two ideals, namely the decorum and the verisimilitude. The decorum demands that the actor's behavior must be consistent with the character they are playing. For example, an actor playing a king must behave like a king and not a servant, and vice versa. Verisimilitude means true to life, hence objects that cannot be directly observed in real life such as ghosts and supernatural events are not allowed. In the 19th century, the dominant forms of theater were melodrama and romanticism. Melodrama was a form of theater that originated in France. It focused on issues caused by the French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, and subsequent modernization. Romanticism, on the other hand, focused on historical accuracy. In Germany, Romanticism emerged as an expression of German history and nationalism. As the 19th century starts to end and the world enters the 20th century, theater was divided into two opposing types, realism and non-realism. Realism, as the name suggests, tries to mimic real life closer through costume, lighting, performance, and narrative. This marks a major revolution in entertainment today. Today's films had direct influence from 20th century realist theater. Advancements in technology transformed theater. The limelight, a gas-powered light source, was developed. Usually the protagonist would be shined by the limelight. This is where the phrase "under the limelight" came from. Throughout the video, we have gone through thousands of years of history. We have seen how theater originated in many different cultures and continued to evolve to this very day. Theater as an art form remains to be an important part of modern society, exactly like it has been since the empires of old.